Hello and welcome to How to Deal with Grief and Trauma. My name is Natalie Himmelrich. How to Deal with Grief and Trauma is completely self-funded, produced and edited by me, Natalie Himmelrich. Consider making a small donation to support the podcast. Go to bit.ly/support, capital G, capital T, and podcast. I repeat, bit.ly/supportgt podcast. Thank you so much. And for more information, please visit Natalie's website, join the podcast Instagram page, and subscribe to the newsletter to receive updates on future episodes. Hello and welcome to the 100th episode of How to Deal with Grief and Trauma. I can hardly believe I'm saying that. 100 episodes. Almost 3 years of sharing stories, insights, and holding space for some of the most vulnerable conversations. First, I want to say thank you to every single one of you who has listened, reached out, shared your story, or simply held this podcast close to your heart. Your presence, your courage, and your words have been the heartbeat of this journey. When I started this podcast, I did so with humble hope that it might offer even a small moment of comfort, a piece of understanding, or a sense of connection to someone walking the difficult path of grief and trauma. And over these 2 years and 9 months, I've been humbled by the feedback and messages that you have shared with me. Each one a reminder of why this space exists. So today I want to honor this milestone by sharing some of the beautiful heartback I've received, and one message that arrived today touched me deeply. This message reads, "I'm replying to your email after one of the most difficult days in my life. My husband's memorial was today. He died on January 25th from cancer. He was 58 years old and he was the most phenomenal man, the love of my life. I found your podcast last month and it has been sometimes the last thing I listen to at night in bed, and it helps me sleep. At other times it is the first thing I listen to in the morning and it helps me get out of bed. Today I listened to episode 12, your story, and it was the perfect episode to help me prepare mentally for today. Thank you for all your giving, wisdom, and this podcast. I'm not sure how I would manage without it." To the person who shared this, thank you. Thank you for trusting me with your words and for allowing this podcast to be a companion during such a difficult time. I am deeply honored, and I hold your grief and your love with care. This is why this podcast exists. For those moments when the weight feels unbearable, when sleep is elusive, or when getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain. And it is for the moments of hope too, when you can take a small step forward, when you feel seen, and when you know you're not alone. So what is grief and what is trauma? You know, every trauma makes grief happen in its aftermath, but not every grief needs to be traumatic. Grief is an emotional landscape we enter when we lose someone or something deeply meaningful to us. It is shaped by our personal experiences, memories, and love. But sometimes it presses against what society expects of us. The timelines or the way we're told to grieve can feel arbitrary and confining. We may find ourselves in conflict between our inner reality and the external pressures, reacting in ways that confuse or concern others or even ourselves. Dealing with grief or trauma is a breaking point in our lives. Sometimes we are on one side of it feeling lost in its depth. Sometimes we are observing others walk through it, unsure of how to support or offer support. Healing is about mending those breaks, though sometimes the path to healing isn't clear and comfort feels impossible. We live in societies that strive to protect and guide us, to help us move away from pain or get back to normal. But these structures are created by humans who can misunderstand and misjudge our grief and our dealing with trauma. Systems and norms may fail to recognize our pain or validate our experiences. Sometimes it is simply life's unpredictable turns that put us in difficult situations like these. We face choices and emotions that others may not understand. And sometimes we are the ones who don't understand why loss happens, or why trauma happens, or why we must carry its weight. Often we are unprepared for grief and trauma's chaos. There is no way to anticipate its depth or its staying power. But if we constantly turn away from our sorrow, avoiding what feels too painful to confront, we risk becoming shaped by what we refuse to face. No one escapes life without encountering loss or some form of trauma. Some carry heavier grief and trauma than others. And if you feel like there is no way forward, it can feel hopeless, as if no one sees or understands. So how do we find hope in a world that feels so heavy? What do we do when we reach the place where we don't know how to continue? There is no easy answer. Numbing the pain isn't the answer. Giving up isn't the answer. We each must find our way home, our way through, and though it may feel beyond our strength, the first step is to simply try. And it is my sincere hope that this podcast helps you taking small steps, maybe the first, maybe multiples in a row. Throughout these years, I've received so many messages that echo this sentiment. Messages from those who found a moment of solace in the late night hours, who've listened while walking through nature, or who've shared an episode with someone they love. Some have said that hearing someone else name their pain, they felt it has been healing to them. Others have shared that listening has given them language for their grief and trauma, or simply made them feel less alone in their experience. One listener wrote, "Your podcast is the quiet voice I needed when everything felt too loud. It reminded me I wasn't the only one walking this path." Another shared, "It's the conversations and reflections you offer that help me piece myself together after loss and trauma." And these messages have shaped me as well. They have reminded me that grief and trauma, though heavy, can be shared, and that sharing eases the burden, if only a little. This milestone of 100 episodes isn't just about numbers. Although having received the message of reaching a total of 50,000 downloads at the same time as reaching 100 episodes, it has brought me to my knees. It's about every single person who has walked this journey with me, about the moments we've shared through headphones, in quiet moments, in reflections and resonance. And today I invite you to pause with me and to honor how far you've come, not just in terms of healing, but simply in surviving, in choosing to keep going, one day at a time. To celebrate this moment, I'd love to share a small invitation with you. Think about the moments that have offered you light, the people, the conversations, the small rituals that have held you. And if you feel called, share them with me. Let me know what this podcast has meant to you, or how you found hope in unexpected places. Let me know what it means for you to experience grief, trauma, and healing, what it means to you healing from these extreme experiences. I'm planning to make an episode with just your feedback, your stories, and the questions you might have. Because, this isn't just my podcast, it's ours. It's a space we shape together. Your stories shape the heart of this community. So before I close, I want to express my deepest gratitude again to everyone who has listened, shared, or simply carried this podcast with them through difficult times. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your courage. And thank you for allowing me to walk alongside you, even in this small way. And to anyone who is listening today, who feels the heaviness of loss and trauma, know that you are not alone. You are held in this community. So here's to 100 episodes, 50,000 downloads. And here's to all the moments yet to come as we continue walking together, holding space for healing, love, and hope. Take gentle care of yourself. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to How to Deal with Grief and Trauma. If you'd like to be updated on future episodes, please subscribe to our newsletter on nataliehimmelrich.com. If you need grief support, please contact me for a 30 minutes free discovery session. How to Deal with Grief and Trauma is produced and edited by me, Natalie Himmelrich. To support this podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe to or follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you. And remember to keep breathing. I promise it will get easier.